Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Satchinandana Jaya Gaurahari Vishnu Priya Pranadana Nadiya Bihari Jaya Satchinandana Jaya Gaurahari Vishnu Priya Pranadana Nadiya Bihari Jaya Satchinandana Jaya Gaurahari Nityananda Pranadana Sankirtan Bihari Jaya Satchinandana Nityananda Pranadana Sankirtan Bihari Jaya Satchinandana Jaya Gaurahari Gadadhar Pranadana Nadiya Bihari Jaya Satchinandana Jaya Gaurahari Gadadhar Pranadana Nadiya Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Brajajanarandana, Jaya Brajajanarandana, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Brajajanarandana, Jaya Brajajanarandana, Jaya Yamuna Tiramanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Yamuna Tiramanachari, Jaya Rasa Bihari, Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Gaura Hari. Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandana, Gaura Hari. Jai Gaura Hari Ho, Hari Ho, Hari Ho, Hari Ho. Nitai Gaura Hari Ho, Hari Ho, Hari Ho, Hari Ho. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Ho. When did you come back from Mayapur? Because today is Thursday. You usually come back on Wednesday, right?
I was expecting to go to
I know you explained the circumstances. Yeah. Madhu Mangal came from Mayapur. Sometimes he comes, sometimes he does. You know the tall Russian devotee? And then Shubha Krishna, he was here. Who else? Achyuta came, but way at the end. He's moving actually, you know that? Yeah, because he's moving 5 minutes walk from the Yogpit. Has to do with the owner, or not the owner, but the renter of the house, some well-to-do Russian devotee who was planning to come back. And in the meantime, for the last few months, he's been renting for like half of the normal rent, which is quite high, because it's a very nice house apparently. I've not seen it, but you know, so. But now there's one devotee who was renting a one-bedroom, small apartment for 6,000, and that's not bad, you know. So he's moving there packing and everything today, probably he won't come. I don't know if he's going to arrive or not. But then tomorrow they're actually physically moving there. Oh, Shama Priya, she also intermittently came, you know, because she's also going to get the prasadam, and then she comes back, and she was also sitting. So it was okay. I had especially Shubha Krishna, and we were reading very happily the Golden Volcano of Divine Love. Just
that explanation of the first verse of the Shastra.
yeah, we're finishing that now. Haven't finished it yet.
So, you know, Sachi Devi.
Huh?
Sachi Devi was married to Navadvip before. We know that. Sachi Devi.
Sachi Devi, what?
You know Sachi Devi, right? Sachi Devi was married to Navadvip before.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yes.
She's been getting a lot out of these classes. She's been listening to
Oh yeah, I think she likes Srila Sridhar Maharaj. I see she posts a lot of quotes on Facebook.
Yeah, so she's been listening to all of them.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Hari Bol, Sachi Devi, Didi, Hare Krishna. So yeah, I'm getting a lot out of these classes too, because I mean, it's amazing. It doesn't matter how many times I read it, or even read it within a 2-day period. If I read it twice or 3 times, just like so much more there, you know. So yeah. So we'll begin. Ajnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namah mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande shri gurun dinataranam vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaura Tishe Namaha Nityanandam Namastubhyam Prema Nanda Pradayane Kalo Kalamashanashaya Janava Pataye Namaha Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sahodito Gaudaye Pushpavanto Chitro Shamdo Tamonudo Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Hey Krishna, there's some feedback on this speaker. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Yeah, that's perfect. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vrindai Tulsi Debai Priyai Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So just stepping back a couple of paragraphs from the other day, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is talking about how this process which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving, Nam Sankirtan, although it is true that he's come in this age of Kali to give this, but it's not that Nam Sankirtan was not there before. Neither is it that Nam Sankirtan is only beneficial in the Kali Yuga when Mahaprabhu comes to give it. He's explaining that Nam Samkirtan is actually beneficial in all ages. So he begins by saying that in this present degraded age of Kali, only Nam Samkirtan can help us, nothing else. And of course, Nam Samkirtan is beneficial in all ages, but it is especially recommended in Kali Yuga. Why? Because in this age, all other attempts will be opposed by many forces. Prainal Payusha Sabya Kalavasmin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Hubadruta. There's 5 forces here. First of all, short life. Manda means lazy. You're going to say something?
No, in Gurukul, Rajendranath Guru, he made a code for it, like just to help us memorize it.
Oh, really?
QL Mud, I think it was. Quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky,
Yeah.
and above all,
Always disturbed. Yeah. Okay. So Manda, actually Manda means lazy. So although in Kali Yuga we can see that people become very energetic to accomplish things, but those things are only preya, only immediate sense gratification. But Shreya, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj was explaining before, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. So they're very lazy for this in the Kali Yuga. And Sumanda Matayo means misguided. They can easily be dissuaded, misguided. And I was just going to say that I remember in the 1980s, during that time period, how I have so many God brothers and God sisters, Prabhupada disciples, and they were all very much engaged in the 1970s, all through the 70s, and many of them brahmacharis and Samkirtan and so many things. But some stalwart devotees became weakened after Prabhupada left, and then gradually that was a struggling period because of the way that the institution was casting out those who didn't comply. So at any rate, there were so many philosophies that started bubbling up here and there, New Ageisms especially during that time. What we call New Age, but that was like something new at that time, New Ageisms. And then came the era of yoga, the yoga era and all of that, So, but unless someone has developed the necessary samskaras by truly embracing this pathway of Nam Samkirtan and full surrender to the pure devotees who are giving the holy name and full service to them, then it's very easily possible that some misguided can go off track. So anyway, Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya means very unfortunate, and who can argue that point? I mean, my God, just take a look, like nearly 8 billion jivas in the human form on this planet now, but amongst them, most of them are very, very, very degraded births, and having no touch with dharmic principles, is becoming worse and worse, especially as the agenda of the elitist globalists, they want to control everybody, and they're manipulating everybody's mind through the media, and trying to convince everybody about this ism and that ism. Prabhupada used to use that word ism, but there's so many isms now. Transsexualism, this ism, that ism, and all of them are as far from human normality as you can get. But now they're being pushed as being like the standard. I mean, just give one shocking example. Everyone knows, I mean, any human being knows that pedophilia and some grown-up man wanting to have a pedophilic relationship with a young boy. And there are laws against that, right? But now they're trying to normalize it. And they give it a different name. I forget what the name is, the term that they use. Persons who are attracted to younger of the same sex, something like that, you know? So this is the work of Kali, Maharaj Kali. Maharaj Kali has infiltrated on the mass level, see. So it's normal in Kali Yuga that degraded will be there. But there's opposing forces for uplifting the masses of people, which has been inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And yes, through Nam Samkirtan, absolutely, through Nam Samkirtan. But also because he controls time, he controls the atoms, he controls all jivas and everything, karma. So he's working out a methodology of clearing the pathway for his mission. And there will be mass destruction of human life. But they just go to the next body. And if anyone had some contact with the pure devotional path of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then they will be blessed under any circumstance, no matter what's going on in the world. Hari Bol Prabhuji, you've done the move today. I know, because I didn't know it, but Achyuta is moving into your place that you were renting.
Yeah, she also kind of they're going to market.
Okay. Oh, okay. So Sumanda Matayo Mandabhagya, unfortunate. But Mahaprabhu has come in to give the highest good fortune to even the most unfortunate jivas of the age of Kali. And now they're becoming fortunate. The opposite, complete opposite. And upadruta means always disturbed on the mental plane, always disturbed. So it's very easy to see what is happening. All you have to do is just do a little bit of news watching on the alternate media, and you see how everyone's minds are so agitated, full of fear, full of apprehension, worry, concern, like this. So that's why the chanting of Hare Krishna is the actual remedy. It's the remedy. And when Srila Prabhupada brought that Mahamantra to the Western world and began to expose people to it, then gradually a small little movement began to form and shape, and they were going out into the public, going out right there in the public and chanting, and people would gather around in the park and like that, you see. So everything became highly auspicious, even by a small number, just a small little number. But now everything has gone all over the world, and through the internet and alternative medias and all of that, it's just expanding in all directions now. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj is telling that Nam Samkirtan is beneficial in all ages, but it is especially recommended in the Kali Yuga, because in this age all other attempts will be opposed by many forces. So now Nam Sankirtan cannot be opposed. It cannot be opposed by the troubles and the waves of this material world. Just see. Nam Sankirtan cannot be opposed by the troubles and the waves of this material world. So one must adopt it. One must adopt it. And if we exclusively give ourselves to this, then we will gain the highest fulfillment of life. So that's a big sentence here. If we exclusively give ourselves to this, we will gain the highest fulfillment of life. Yes. I was watching a morning walk video of Srila Gurudev in Badger, and our dear godbrother, such a sincere Vaishnava, Chiranjeev Prabhu, he asked Gurudev a question there on the morning walk. And it was something to the effect of, how can we increase our sincerity and the intensity of our striving for this? And then Gurudev said, then you should give up everything. Wife, children, everything. You should give up everything. And then you should fully engage yourself 24 hours in this process. You should follow Raghunath Das Goswami. And then Gurudev said, come on, can you come? Are you ready now? You see? So we want to know how it can be done, but we don't want to follow. We don't want to yet follow. So, if we exclusively give ourselves to this, then we will gain the highest fulfillment of life. And there is no necessity of any other campaign. No necessity. No other campaign required. For they are all defective and they are all partial. But the most universal, captivating, and beneficial thing is Nam Sankirtan, which takes us to the highest goal. And that alone can satisfy everyone. So all souls that are now disconnected from Krishna, they may be helped in this way. No other movement is necessary. No other movement. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells us, exclusively devote yourself to this. It is all embracing and all fulfilling. And you can achieve it with the least trouble and the least energy. Let it flourish in this Kali Yuga. Let it flourish for the welfare of the whole universe, to re-establish all souls in their normal position. So now this is where I left off the other day. So we're reading the final part of this commentary of the first shloka. Now in the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, the last verse, if you look at the folio and you go to the last verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, do you know what it's talking about? The last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, before I tell it to you? Huh? Yes, because you've read it. So it's interesting that after telling everything, all 12 cantos, and coming to the very, very end of the last chapter of the 12th canto, then the final verse that is spoken is this one. Nam Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamanas Tam Namami Harim Param. So, again I'm saying, Nam Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamanas Tam Namami Harim Param. So here the word Papa, Sarva Papa Pranashanam. So Papa means all anomalies, all undesirable things. In other words, sin. So material enjoyment and also liberation, they're also included as anomalies. Even liberation is included as an anomaly, or as sinful activities. Why is liberation considered sinful? Because it is an abnormal condition. So we can conclude from this statement that anything that is an abnormal condition to our very eternal self is sinful. Yeah. So why is liberation considered sinful? Because it is an abnormal condition. Our natural function is to serve Krishna, but we do not do that in salvation. Mere salvation does not include service to Krishna. So that is an abnormal position, and therefore it is also a sin. So to ignore our natural duty and to stand aloof, it cannot but be sinful. To ignore our natural duty and to stand aloof, it cannot but be sinful. It must be sinful. So now, this concluding verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, quote, Krishna's holy name can relieve us from all undesirable sinfulness, all filthy characteristics, and all miseries. Sarva Papa Pranashanam. So, therefore, let us all bow down to Him, to Krishna Nam. Let us all bow down to Him. Tam pranamo dukkha shamanas tam namami harim param. So, uttering this verse, then the Srimad Bhagavatam stops. That great treatise becomes silent. The last word in the Bhagavatam is Nam Sankirtan. The Bhagavatam has given such great importance to chanting the holy name of Krishna. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu developed it from there. The last publication of the compiler of Vedic literature, Srila Vyasadeva, he took theism to that stage. And then he gave it to the public, announcing this. Chant the name of Krishna, do this, and nothing more is necessary. Take this, chant the name of Krishna, do this, nothing more is necessary. Take this. So this is the very conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam, the greatest spiritual gift of Vyasadeva. And what is that? Quote, chant the holy name of Krishna. Chant the holy name of Krishna and begin your life in this dark age with the most broad and wide theistic conception. So we may consider ourselves fortunate that we have come to the verge of this most generous and useful thought, that we have come close enough to touch it, to accept it, and to float ourselves in its waves according to our capacity. After passing through so many conceptions and the charm of different prospects, we have left them all behind, and we have come to the shore of the ocean of Nam Sankirtan. Now we may throw our bodies in this ocean and begin to swim in the waves of Nam Sankirtan, the nectar of the nectarine, by the grace of our Guru and by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. What a paragraph. I'm reading it again. It's just too much we'd have to talk for an hour or two just on this one paragraph. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj is telling us, because he's speaking to us, that we are devotees, that we have left everything and we have embraced this pathway. So he's encouragingly telling us that we may consider ourselves fortunate that we have come to the verge of this most generous and this most useful thought, and that we have come close enough to touch it and to accept it and to float ourselves in its waves according to our capacity. And we've done this after passing through so many conceptions and the charm of different prospects. We have left them all behind, and we have come to the shore of the ocean of Nam Sankirtan. We have come to the shore of the ocean of Nam Sankirtan, and now we may throw our bodies in this ocean, and we may begin to swim in the waves of Nam Sankirtan, which is the nectar of the nectarine, and by the grace of our Guru and by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. So he now begins to tell us, these Vaishnavas who have given their mercy and the grace of Sri Guru, actually it is their property. It is their property. And we are their slaves. We have such audacity to throw our body into this ocean of Nam Sankirtan and swim in that nectarine ocean. We have such audacity. Then he says, swimming in Radha Kunda. Swimming in Radha Kunda, the highest conception of spiritual attainment. It can also be found in the highest form of Nam Sankirtan. Because this verse, it represents the positive side of the unlimited ocean of Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Then the next verse, it explains the negative possibilities. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has given his Sanskrit commentary. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given his Sanskrit commentary on the Shikshashtakam, as well as his Bengali translation. And his is a most original presentation. How lucky we are that we have that book Gurudev has given us with the direct translation into English of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary, as well as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then he says, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he has also given his commentary on the Shikshashtakam. And these two, they should be carefully studied in order to understand these points more completely. Now, Srila Sridhar is revealing, where is this coming from? From him. So he's saying, in these talks, however, I am simply coming out with whatever I feel in my heart. Whatever comes to my mind on these verses. Whatever comes to my mind on these verses, I am expressing. And that is the outcome of what I have collected from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all the predecessor acharyas. He's saying, whatever comes to my mind on these verses, I am expressing. But where is it coming from, ultimately? He says, yes. In these talks, however, I am simply coming out with whatever I feel in my heart. And then he says, what I have collected, what I'm expressing is the outcome of what I have collected from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, from Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, from Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all the predecessor acharyas. By their grace that is gathered in my storehouse. And I am trying to give the gist of these things. Yeah. So that's where this golden volcano of divine love is coming from. Whatever has come into his storehouse by their grace. And now I'm trying to give the gist of these things. Yes. So now the next section is titled The Krishna Conception. It conquers all. The Krishna conception conquers all. Now by accepting the path of devotion, then a wholesale transformation of our internal system begins. Yes. By accepting the path of devotion, then a wholesale transformation of our internal system begins. And gradually, our charm for the outside world vanishes. There is a war within. There is a war going on within. And when the Krishna conception enters into the heart of a devotee, all other thoughts and all ideas gradually have to retire. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 2nd Canto, 8th chapter, verse 5. Well-known verse. Pravishta karna randrena swanam bhava saroruham dhunoti shamalam Krishna salilasya yata sharat. So, yes, this is talking about the autumn season and the rains that come in the autumn season. So when the autumn season appears, then the mud within the water vanishes. Because the rainy season brings a lot of mud mixed into the Ganga. We can see that here also. But when autumn arrives, then the mud within the water vanishes. So in the same way, when the Krishna conception enters into one's heart, then all other conceptions and aspirations will gradually have to retire, leaving Krishna in possession of everything. And when a real drop of Krishna consciousness enters the heart, all opposing forces must leave, and Krishna will conquer. and he will take possession of the whole. That is the nature of Krishna consciousness. Nothing can stand in competition with it. Not even the so-called devotion for the demigods or faith in creeds like Christianity, Islam, and others. All other conceptions of theism have to retire, leaving the field to the Krishna conception. No aggressors can stand in the fight with Krishna consciousness, this absolute sweet beauty. No aggressors can stand in that fight. Isn't that very reassuring? We're on the right track, at least. We've chosen the right thing. And despite whatever aggressors and whatever conceptions are still trying to occupy, they'll be kicked out. They'll be told, you have to leave. You can no longer stay here. This is not your domain anymore. The Krishna conception has conquered all. So you have to go. No aggressors can stand in the fight with Krishna consciousness, who is the absolute sweet beauty. Absolute sweet beauty. So now he's ending this with these last two paragraphs. He's ending his commentary on the first shloka of Sikshastakam, and he's ending with the culmination of everything. And now he talks about a subject matter that he quite often brings up in his katha. He says here, and pay close attention, beauty, sweetness, and charm can capture and defeat power. So we know that there are various opulences. And in the material world, everyone is trying to gain control more, power. This is the whole thing about the material world. Everything is power. But the actual fact of the eternal reality is such that this power can easily be defeated simply by beauty, by sweetness, and charm. Charm means like attraction, charm. Now, we are really aspiring after beauty and sweetness. We are really aspiring after beauty and sweetness and mercy, affection, divine love, praying. We are aspiring after this. And self-dissipation, that is, to compensate others with one's own energy and one's own generosity, self-dissipation, it ultimately conquers everyone. Everyone is conquered. It is more rewarding to give than it is to take. Divine love means die to live, not to live for yourself, but to live for others. The most generous form of life, the most generous form of life. Because why? Because it's more rewarding to give than to take. So the most generous form of life, self-forgetfulness to the extreme, it is found in Krishna consciousness. Yes. So Krishna consciousness is so beautiful that one who develops it, he loses his own identification and his existence also. Yeah. He becomes totally self-forgetful. Such a charm is there. So who will stand to fight against Krishna? Who will stand to fight against Krishna? Everyone who comes to fight against him is disarmed. If in any way, this is the second last sentence. If in any way Krishna enters the heart, there can be no other consequence but that he takes possession of everything. Yeah? Doesn't matter how Krishna enters. In any way that he enters, there can be no other consequence, but he takes full possession of everything. So, such a benevolent, this is the last sentence, such a benevolent, generous, and sweet person is Krishna, reality, the beautiful. Gaur Premanandi. Such a benevolent, generous, and sweet person is Krishna, the reality, the beautiful. Jai Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Oh, we've still got 20 minutes. So, any questions, comments, observations so far? What we just read. Are you absorbing? Are you absorbing this? Yeah?
The last sloka mentions Namasankirtana, so it's very ancient practice.
Yes. It's always existing because Nam is Krishna, Nam is eternal. So it's there in every yuga. But in the other yugas, people have different qualifications. They live very long. We know that. They live way longer. Our duration of life is so short. So short. I'm standing now at the final, I don't know, maybe the final 1/8 or something like that. Yeah, 1/8. Like maybe can live to 80. But now 71. And I look back only 5 years ago. It was very easy for me to look back 5 years ago when I made my last trip to Russia in 2018. And the difference in my physical capacity is day and night. I'll give you an example. When I was there in Sochi, which I think that was the only place I went to in Russia that year. I only came to Sochi, and then I stopped in Moscow just for a night, and then I came here. So, but what condition is my body now? If I walk up 1/2 of a flight of stairs, I'm huffing and puffing. I have to stop. But in 2018, I was staying in an apartment in Sochi that was on the, 12th floor. And guess what happened? The elevator for 3 days stopped working. We were on the top floor. And I had to walk up 12 flights of stairs and down 12 flights of stairs. So I was just telling the other day, that's impossible, absolutely impossible for me. What I'd have to do now, if for some reason it was a life and death situation and I had to walk up 12 flights of stairs, I would have to go so slow that it would take me about at least 8 to 10 minutes for each flight. And not only that, but then if I go back another 5 years before that, in 2013 I was in Hawaii. So this is only like 10 years ago, right? And at that time I was with my god sister Ladini Shakti Didi. She invited me to come and take therapy for a month or so. She has her medical practice. She's an acupuncture and also naturopath and Chinese medicine. So I received therapy for that. And of course, this was before I had my knee surgery in 2016. I'm talking all about myself, but this is related to the topic. This is related to the topic of Kali Yuga and short lives, okay? So, at the end of that month, I was feeling some rejuvenation. It was beneficial. And in those days, I had a completely different, ability. So there was one big, huge volcano mountain that's, supposedly dead. And there's stairs that go up, and it's a tourist place, just like a 15-minute drive from where her house is in Honolulu. And I thought to myself, let me go up these stairs. Because previously they did some mining and they also had like a rail track that went up, but it's now abandoned. But the stairs are still there. And many tourists come. And they climb all the way up to the top. I don't remember how many stairs there are, but at least 200-300 stairs. So I could do that. I did it. I think it was a foolish idea that I did it, because then I had to come down all the stairs, and that was not beneficial for the knees, but at any rate. So my point is that short lives in the Kali Yuga, this is the norm. And look, I'm just talking about gradual old age setting in and gradual deterioration of the internal organs of the body and so forth. Everyone gets that. Even if you're an Olympic athlete, old age will come and set in, and you will be, at some point, you will be unable to do practically anything. I remember Srila Bharati Maharaj, he was 92 or something like that when he departed. But even a few years prior to that, when we were hearing his Harikatha in Jagannath Puri, sometimes here in Navadvip, also in Vrindavan. So, and I remember the devotees who were staying with him, they said that he commented, he said, now this body has become old. And my hands don't work, my legs don't work, but my mouth works. So now it is my seva to simply speak Harikatha. That's all I can do now. But the thing about being a devotee in old age, and we used to hear this when we were young, but I'm now experiencing it. Being a devotee, old age is very auspicious. And it has a sweetness. Because you tried to give yourself. You did the best you could. Maybe not all the time, but a good amount of time. And now you're getting toward the end. And your thoughts and your appreciation and so many things have developed over decades. So for devotees, old age is not feared, it is not dreaded, and of course we don't even know if we'll become old, because in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the conversation with Maharaj Parikshit and the sages in Naimisharanya, and he's telling that what is the duty of a person who is about to die? That question is one of the questions that is asked to the sages. And of course the first canto is spoken by Sutta Goswami. So, but what is the duty of a person that's about to die? I remember hearing this in my completely new, when I first became a devotee when I was 18 years old. And I remember hearing this point, that a person who is about to die, what does that mean? A person who is about to die, what does that mean? That means anybody, because nobody knows. No one knows. We're very, very confident that we have a long time, but no one knows. No one knows when they're going to die. But we're all thinking, oh, I'll live till old age. But many pass away much earlier, and nowadays especially, where they're actually trying to genocide the human race with that intention. And so many other poisons are being given to the human beings in the air, in the water, in the food, everywhere. Poisoning is going on, you see. So, but Mahaprabhu has a plan. But for devotees, no matter what happens, no matter when your life is going to be cut short, then you just focus on Krishna. You just focus on surrendering to Krishna, Krishna Nam, and Krishna Katha, and Sadhu Sangha, all these things. This is the greatest wealth that anyone can possess in this material world. We don't think so, but it is. We just heard that. There is nothing that can compare with receiving the mercy of the Guru Parampara in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and hearing all these conceptions and then beginning to practice and apply it in our life. And then at some point we'll be able to actually dive in and swim in this ocean. Nothing can compare. So, the greatest good fortune. There's a lot of different levels of good fortune. And everyone's looking for good fortune. But the greatest of all good fortune is this. What Mahaprabhu has come to give to the jivas in this Kali Yuga. And to come into contact in this human body and be able to embrace that. There is nothing as fortunate as this. Nothing. So, but because there are anomalies, as we just heard, those anomalies have to be purified and they have to leave. They have to leave because the Krishna conception is beginning to enter. So they will have to leave. So if anyone sticks to this path sincerely, without a cheating attitude, without deception and hypocrisy and all of that, then kapatya, kutinati, then we cannot but, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj always says, we cannot but go to the supreme goal. We are on our way. So that's why Srila Prabhupada's choice of the words back to Godhead for his movement was a very apt choice. Why? Because it is really the movement that is bringing everyone to our eternal home. There is no other movement. There is no other movement that is doing that. It is the only movement that is bringing us back to home, back to Godhead. You see?
That's a point that Srila always emphasizes also, that home sweet home.
Oh yes, he does. Yes, home sweet home. And it's so true. Because we all experience when we go on a journey, we go on some long journey. I mean, my life, a good portion of it has been spent living out of suitcases, a couple of suitcases. And putting up with every single type of inconvenience along the way. But yet, it is such a treasure that we are engaged in the service of the Lord. We're engaged in the service of Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj uses the example that a person who's been on a long journey, and the very nature of that is that there will be so many discomforts. But when the person returns to their home, now everything is familiar, all comfort is there, not just only from the physical requirements, but the emotional requirements especially. Home, this word home. It's interesting that the English language, I reflected on this, that the English language has this word home, which contains the word Om. And Om, it is the ultimate repose for the jivas. Om means Krishna, the Absolute, you see. So home, sweet home. And the word sweet is not Srila Sridhar Maharaj who coined the phrase home, sweet home. No, that's what the Western poets and so forth have told. Because everyone feels that emotion. Home, sweet home, oh sweet. But of course, in the material sense, it's a perverted reflection. But he's using that perverted reflection to show that even in the material world, that feeling of belonging, that feeling of familiarity, that feeling of embracing and being embraced is so satisfying to the heart that people will do anything, So we just have to transfer that to our eternal home. That's all that has to be done, actually. We just have to transfer our attraction and our anticipation for that. And that's why Harinam Sankirtan is the supreme process. Because simply by chanting, then one will be connected and one will be transferred. One's heart will be transferred in that direction. So how fortunate. Harinam Sankirtan. All right, so we will complete today's class with that. Tomorrow, not tomorrow, Sunday. Today is Thursday. Sunday is our next class. And on Sunday, we will continue with the second shloka of Sikshastakam. That second shloka is very, very important. Very important. That we understand and feel the meaning of that shloka. that Mahaprabhu has given for us. And it's not long. Srila Sridhar Maharaj's purport to that verse, second verse, is not long. And then comes the third sloka of Sikshastakam, Trinadapi Sunichena. The shloka is a short one, Trinadapi Sunichena. Tadorapi Sahishtuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahadi. But for that shloka, which is all important, so much depth is there, Srila Sridhar Maharaj has given a much more extended purport for that. Then comes Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj's purport is short. Short means like 5-6 pages. Then comes Ai Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram. Yes, similar. Then comes Nayanam Galadashradharaya. Yeah, only like 3 pages. Then comes Yugaitam Nimeshena. And now the mood of separation mood. And now union in separation, the 8th sloka. Ashlashyava Padaratam Panashtamam. So for that, Srila Sridhar Maharaj completes his commentary on that 8th verse. And that 8th verse is spoken by Srimati Radhika through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then comes part 3, which is the conclusion. There's 3 parts in the book. And the conclusion is Srila Sridhar Maharaj's incredible, final comment on the entire Sikshastakam, which is titled A Drop of Divine Love. And that is, more than 20 pages long.
We just read that today in our reading group.
You started and completed on one day. In which reading?
I do like I have a daily reading group.
Oh, that one. Okay. That's a lot to cover. Wow. So, how was it? Yeah.
It's 4,500 words.
It's 4,000 what?
500 words. I do a word count.
Oh.
Figure out how long it is.
4,500 words.
It's under 5,000 words.
And you try to read that amount each day or what? 5,000.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never done that before. I'll have to try to do that. Okay, so Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Shri Krishna Samkirtan Ki Jai. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Samkirtanam Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Nitai, Jaya Go, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Go. Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaurahari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaurahari. Nitai he, Gaura he, Nitai he, Gaura he. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Radha Vinod Bihari Jiu Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha, Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.